hell did you get hurt? And I've got a conspiracy theory that Kevin Stefanski wanted the ability to elevate Bailey Zappi. That if he had to push the button, he wanted to go to Zappi instead of Shedeur Sanders. That's just a theory I got, but it's a theory nonetheless.
Chris, I've heard from people around the league that cannot believe the Browns have not prepared Shedeur Sanders to play, and they're 2-6, and it's what are you waiting for? Are you waiting till you're 2-12 when it doesn't mean anything? And then who cares?
It doesn't mean anything now. You're 2-6. You're not going anywhere.
So what are they waiting for?
Riz, I don't know. Now is a perfect time to make the change. Does anybody really think running Dylan Gabriel out there he's going to get better? The answer is no. So why not make the change? You have 2 weeks to prepare Shedeur.
They won't do it.
Of course they won't, because nothing they have done starting since the end of the year last year at the quarterback position has made
any sense.
Nothing has made sense.
And for that reason alone, Chris, the front office needs to.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think Cleveland could find a new low, but somehow they drilled straight through the basement. How did it get this bad in Cleveland? How did a proud, bruised, loyal fan base end up watching a coach beg and a quarterback wait while the season bleeds out on the sideline? I'm sitting here like the rest of you, eyes on the pressers, ears on the radio, and it doesn't sound like leadership anymore. It sounds like panic wrapped in a headset. Kevin Stefanski didn't project authority, he grabbed at it. That wasn't a plan, that was a plea. And when a head coach pleads, the whole locker room hears the crack in the voice. You can feel it in the body language. The way veterans look down, the way assistants fold their arms, the way the building gets quiet after a blowout. You don't need an all-22 to read a mood. This is a team trying to hold the door shut while the storm pushes in from the parking lot. Stefanski's coaching scared, like a man trying to plug a sinking ship with paper towels. Every decision feels like it's made to survive Monday, not to win Sunday. And the quarterback room? It's not a competition, it's a hostage situation. One guy protected by draft politics, another guy pinned by mystery and whispers. That's where Shedeur sits, between loyalty and legacy, between what he owes the organization and what he owes his own name. Think about the pressure on that kid. You're the son of Prime. Your whole life is cameras, expectation, improving your more than a last name. Now add a franchise that can't decide if it wants to protect a narrative or build a future. You think he doesn't feel that? Every time he tapes his wrists, every time he watches another 3 and out, every time he hears "not yet" from people who keep moving the finish line. And this is bigger than a depth chart. This is culture. Culture is what you tolerate when the lights are off. Culture is whether you reward courage or cling to comfort. Right now, Cleveland is clinging to safe throws, clinging to safe quotes, clinging to the illusion that if you say process enough times, the scoreboard will start to care. Fans don't buy that because fans live with the consequence. They live with the Monday at work, the jokes, the wait. They don't need perfect. They need honest. Give them a plan or give them a spark. Give them a reason. Here's the truth nobody inside that building wants to admit. This moment isn't about whether Shedeur is flawless on snap one. It's about whether your franchise has the spine to choose belief over fear. Teams don't turn a corner by accident. They slam their foot on it. The great ones pick conviction and live with it. The timid ones drift until the season ends and the exit interviews blur together. So yeah, I'm frustrated. I'm exhausted. But I'm not done. Because buried under the chaos is something the league can't measure on a spreadsheet. A kid who's been groomed for pressure, and a city that's starving for a pulse. And that brings me right to the edge of it. The line that separates noise from narrative. This is the moment that defines Shedeur's career. Not when he plays, but how he responds. You ever notice how in the NFL, the best stories don't come from perfect plans? They come from power struggles? And right now in Cleveland, that's exactly what this feels like. This isn't about who throws the best deep ball. It's about who gets to control the story. Because make no mistake, Shedeur Sanders isn't on the bench because of football. He's on the bench because of fear. Kevin Stefanski is coaching for his job. You can see it in the way he calls plays, the way he answers questions. Every decision feels calculated, not for the team, but for survival. He's not protecting a rookie quarterback. He's protecting his authority. And when a coach starts managing perception instead of performance, you already know the ship's taking on water. It's ego over evidence. And that's the deadliest combo in this league. Then there's Andrew Berry, the GM who keeps doubling down on Dylan Gabriel like a gambler chasing losses. He used a top 100 pick on him, fed the media the supercomputer IQ narrative, and now he's too deep to admit he was wrong. So what happens? You bury Shedeur to keep the illusion alive. You protect the pick instead of protecting the locker room. That's not football. That's politics and shoulder pads. They're trying to defend a resume, not a record. And that's what kills me. Because Shedeur isn't some random rookie who needs baby steps. This is a kid who's been molded by pressure since day one, trained by primetime himself, Deion Sanders, the man who turned pressure into a performance art. Shedeur has that DNA, the calm eyes, the command, the readiness. You can't fake that. You don't raise a Sanders just to sit him behind a system quarterback running checkdowns and excuses. But the media, they eat the "he's not ready" line like it's gospel. Ready for what? Mediocrity? You don't tell a guy raised under Friday night lights and national cameras that he's not ready for a huddle. You don't tell a quarterback who's been breaking down blitzes since high school that he needs to learn behind Dylan Gabriel. Come on, this isn't about development, it's about control. They drafted a politician when they already had a playmaker. And the craziest part? We've seen this movie before. Every great quarterback has that chapter. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, even Patrick Mahomes. All of them were told, "You're not ready." All of them were held back by coaches too scared to hand over the keys. And every single one of them flipped the script. That's the cycle. First they doubt you, then they delay you, and then they swear they always believed in you. So yeah, Cleveland can keep saying, "Not yet." They can keep hiding behind press conference buzzwords and fake injuries. But history's got a way of humbling egos. Because every great quarterback story begins with someone telling him he wasn't ready until he proved he was. Cleveland's airwaves have turned into war zones. You flip on the radio and it's pure chaos. Hosts yelling, fans calling in like they're on the edge of a breakdown. One guy said it perfectly the other day. You can't sell hope and hide your best card. And that's exactly what this feels like. A franchise selling belief while bearing the one thing that could actually spark it. Browns fans aren't crazy. They're exhausted. They've lived through decades of false dawns, rebuilds that never rebuild, and promises that vanish the second the first snap goes wrong. They've seen it all, man. The heartbreak, the headlines, the empty slogans. And now they're just asking for one thing, something real. But the front office keeps playing the same record. Draft mistakes, ego protection, fake injuries, copy-paste excuses. It's like watching the same bad movie over and over, only this time, the ticket costs your faith. Dylan Gabriel's completion rate sits just over 60%, and somehow that's being sold as progress. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders, a kid with NFL size, bloodline, and composure, can't even get a practice rep without the coaching staff tightening up like someone said Voldemort's name. Every press conference sounds like damage control, not direction. Stefanski talks about continuity like it's some sacred word. Bro, continuity isn't the problem. Mediocrity is. The media's had enough. Cleveland radio hosts are done playing nice, and you can hear it in their tone. No more filters, no more soft takes. One said, "This front office isn't serious people." Another shouted, "We spent a top 100 pick on a guy who can't move the ball past midfield and you're still trying to convince us he's the future?" The frustration's boiling over. This isn't sports talk anymore. It's therapy. And every caller sounds like someone who's been gaslit by a franchise they love too much to leave. And that's the tragedy of it, isn't it? Browns fans don't want perfection. They just want something honest. They don't need another 5-year plan. They need effort that looks like belief. They deserve better. They deserve better. They deserve better. A city this loyal shouldn't have to beg for competence. You can hear it in the chants, see it in the stands, Feel it in the silence after another 3 and out. This isn't apathy. This is heartbreak disguised as loyalty. Because Cleveland's not asking for a miracle. They're not asking for Mahomes. They're asking for a reason to care again. A reason to stay up on Sunday night and argue about something that matters. They want to believe their quarterback reflects their city. Gritty, unshakable, unafraid to fight when everyone else counts them out. And deep down, that hope still exists. You can see it in the jerseys, in the signs, in the sighs that end with a smile. And maybe, just maybe, that hope still wears number 14. There's something different about a Sanders. You can feel it. That calm confidence that doesn't need to shout to be heard. It's in the way they walk, the way they work, the way they wait. And that's exactly what Shedeur's been doing. Waiting, but not in silence, not in defeat, in preparation. Because if you know anything about that family, it's that patience isn't weakness, it's strategy. While the Browns were hiding him, he was studying. While they doubted him, he stayed quiet. And while they lied about injuries, he was preparing for his moment. That's what separates a Sanders from the rest of the league. They don't panic under pressure. They study it. They understand that spotlight isn't something to run from. It's something to own. Because for Shedeur, this isn't new. He's been in bright lights since he could throw a football. Every game, every camera, every headline. It's been pressure training for this exact storm. Think about who raised him. Deion Sanders, one of the most competitive, unapologetic, and electrifying athletes this sport has ever seen. Prime didn't just teach his son how to throw, he taught him how to lead, how to handle noise, how to let performance speak louder than politics. When Prime talks about keeping receipts, that's not trash talk. That's discipline. It's the art of staying focused when the world's watching you fail. And that's exactly what Shedeur is doing right now in Cleveland. He's letting them underestimate him. He's letting them talk. Because when your last name is Sanders, you don't prove people wrong with tweets. You do it with touchdowns. And here's what people forget. Shedeur's been doubted before. They said he couldn't dominate at Jackson State. He did. They said the spotlight at Colorado would break him. He turned it into a masterclass in composure. And now they're saying the NFL's too big, too fast, too soon. We've heard that one before. It's the same story they told about every great player who wasn't handed the keys. But this time it's different. Because Shedeur's writing his own version, and he's got a playbook written in bloodline resilience. This isn't some rookie sulking on the bench. This is a man biding his time, sharpening every read, every rhythm, every throw. The Browns think they're stashing a backup, but what they're really doing is letting a storm build behind closed doors. Because that calm, you see, that stillness, that's not passivity. That's control. That's legacy in motion. And when he finally steps onto that field, it won't just be a debut. It'll be a statement. A statement that says, I was never the understudy. I was the answer you were too scared to believe in. You can feel it. The tension in that Cleveland locker room isn't just air. It's pressure, heavy enough to taste. Cameras flashing, reporters whispering, veterans avoiding eye contact. Everyone knows something's about to break. And at the center of it all, standing calm in the chaos, is Shedeur Sanders. Not rattled, not loud, just ready. That quiet kind of ready that makes everyone else nervous. Because deep down, they know he's about to pull the trigger. The Browns have hit the wall. The safe plan has failed. Dylan Gabriel was supposed to be steady, manageable, controllable. A quarterback who wouldn't rock the boat. But when you're 2-6, that boat's already sinking. You can't steer out of a storm by playing not to lose. That's what Stefanski doesn't get. Playing it safe isn't leadership. It's fear dressed up as strategy. And fear doesn't win football games. Fear destroys locker rooms, buries talent, and wastes seasons. We've seen this movie 100 times. A young star waiting behind a guy with a higher floor while the whole team quietly stops believing. So let's call it what it is. Cleveland's out of time. You've got 2 roads left. One leads nowhere. Keep running out Gabriel. Keep making excuses. Keep telling fans to trust the process. The other, it's dangerous. It's unpredictable. But it's the only road that still leads to hope. That's the one where you hand the ball to Shedeur Sanders and say, it's yours now. Because if you're going down, go down swinging. Go down with someone who gives you a reason to believe. Someone who actually wants the smoke. And imagine that first snap. The camera cuts to Shedeur walking into the huddle. Not a kid anymore. Not Prime's son, but his own man. The lights are blinding. The crowd's on edge. Stefanski's pacing on the sideline. Headset slipping, heart pounding. And Shedeur? He's calm, eyes forward, voice steady. That's not nerves. That's destiny catching up. See, every generation of quarterbacks has that moment. The one where they stop asking and start taking. Brady had it. Hurts had it. Mahomes had it. And now it's Shedeur's turn. That moment isn't next season or next week. It's now. Because when Cleveland begged him to start, they didn't realize something. He wasn't waiting for permission. He was waiting for proof. Proof that this franchise needs more than management. It needs a spark. It needs someone who's not afraid to pull the trigger. So now I'll ask you, would you trust Kevin Stefanski to guide Shedeur's rise? Or is it time for Prime's son to write his own chapter, his own legacy, his own era of Cleveland football? Because one thing's for sure, that trigger's already halfway pulled.